welcome to the show. We at Trucking Life welcome you all. Now, pull that rig over, hit the head, grab a drink and snack, settle in, and let's get this show on the road. And now, your host.
Hi.
Good morning. Yay!
Good morning.
So look who we have, everybody. We have the beauty from the Caribbean down there in Colombia. Goodness gracious.
That's right. Bienvenido a Colombia.
Woohoo! So tell us all about what you're doing. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's Sunday Brunch with Trucking Life. You've got Angela and Brooklyn on with you this morning. But Ange, tell us all about your adventures. Let's start with getting caught up with you.
Well, good morning. Good morning, Texas. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm so glad to see everybody. I'm excited. I am in Barranquilla, Colombia, and it has been an amazing trip. We are having so much fun, and the weather has been beautiful. We've been to the beach 4 or 5 days in different places.
Awesome.
Yeah. We spent 3 days in El Rodadero, which is a beach town. Went out on a boat, went to a private beach, had lunch. It was such a beautiful day. Then we went up into the hills, and that was an amazing trip. Let me tell you, that was some fun. We had
those hills, do you happen to know the elevation difference between sea level and up in the hills?
I do not. I can find out and we can post it later, but I do not. It was quite a ride. It was quite a ride. And it was up in the hills. We had lunch at this creekside restaurant, so you can dip your feet in the creek.
What? Oh, fun.
It was so much fun. And then we spent 5 days in Cartagena, which is also a beachside town, but it's a touristy town. So we did the old city tour in a horse-driven carriage.
Is that the one mentioned in Indiana Jones?
Yes, it is.
That's funny.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yep. So there's a bunch of pictures. Once I get back to the States and can get them all up there, I will post them up there for everybody to look at. So it's been a lot of fun. Right now we're back in Barranquilla. We had 6 days until when we got here. We had 6 days until we have to go home. I don't want to go home.
Dang it! We've been saying that you might not come home, and I was telling you it's okay. You just stay there, and I'll come and visit you.
That's right. We need a South American branch of Trucking Life, okay?
That's right. Right. We're gonna go international. I love it.
Exactly. So we had a family reunion yesterday, and it's just been so much fun. I've met so many people. I haven't had any bad experiences at all.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's
it's
awesome.
Been really good. So I miss all of you girls. Let me tell you, I'm missing some good stuff. So.
Right? So do you want to show the people some of your pictures or take them on a tour of the house, or what are you thinking? You want to show them what you got going on?
Yeah, Jed, I put, of course, the trucker in me. I sent Jed the scale. I picked out the scale on our way to this town. There it is.
Oh my gosh. So what was different about that scale for their trucks there in Colombia that you noticed?
Okay, the biggest difference for the trucks here in Colombia is most of them don't have sleepers. Most of them are.
So they're like a day cab.
Yeah. And that is because of the way that everything, it's tight. I mean, good luck getting a day cab in there most of the time, but trying to get a truck with a sleeper is even worse. So that's scale, it's just elevated, like ours, set up a little bit differently, but still it's pretty much the same. It's elevated platform where they weigh each axle and keep on going.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I noticed down here is there's not very many vans. Dry
Oh,
van,
really? It's
no,
all like flatbed?
everything is flatbed and Conestoga in the point of the rounded side and then rounded top, not the curtain van.
Interesting. Okay. Huh.
So everything is hauled. There are some containers, so that's how they're getting with the refrigerated.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, these guys. We think we drive good. These guys, they take a 3-lane highway and turn it into 6-lane.
Oh, wow.
Each lane is motorcycles cutting through.
Oh, wow.
So I've seen some pretty cool stuff. I took a few pictures. I took a picture of a Kenworth because their Kenworth down here is Kenworth of the Mountain.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so that's
Interesting.
the emblem. I just thought that was so cool. I want one now.
Right?
Get my pride board. I'm gonna go get me one of them signs.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Is there height restrictions the same as the States?
It's not the same, but I did notice most of the overpass have a height in meters on the
Okay.
side of the overpass. But it's not the same. No, there's some that are
Interesting.
lower. There's obviously places that trucks can't go here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been really cool. Before I come home, I will get some more video so we can use it on the next show.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're missing you horribly, but we're living vicariously through your photos and your videos and all the things. We're so glad you're just having a great time.
Yeah,
It
we
looks
are.
like you're having a blast.
I'll tell you what, there's going to be some more trips down here. This is going to be fun. Yeah.
I'm going to vote for like a working vacation.
We should come. All of us from Trucking Life should come down and have our next board meeting down here.
Right? We should do this. We should make it like every other year we go to Columbia and broadcast from there.
Oh,
That'd be fun.
I love it. I love it.
That
So
would
yeah,
be way fun.
I have talked in the past about how eventually we will start doing some bilingual things because I know that we have drivers in the U.S. From Mexico
Who are bilingual, right?
So we will get that going. We'll get that rolling, and I would love to talk to some of the drivers down here and just see what they think about the U.S. If they've heard about the protests, if they've seen anything about the Canadian protests, that kind of stuff. Right now, the big topic down here is the Ukraine and what's going on
and how that's going to affect things.
Yeah, it has definitely overshadowed anything that would have been talked about the driving. Right. So.
And we're going to kind of touch on that too in just some updated news today, but give me your thoughts. So what's the price of diesel down there?
Yeah, we figured it out the other day. It's pretty close to the US. Down here, for whatever reason, they sell it in gallons, and I didn't know that. I was figuring it out at liters.
Oh, okay.
And then our driver told us no, that they actually sell it in gallons. But it's coming out pretty close, $4.50, $5 a gallon.
Okay.
Right now, the Colombian peso is at 3,800. So for every US dollar, I get 3,800 Colombian pesos. Okay.
So how does that equate when you're buying something simple from like a gas station?
Okay, so I think if I'm not mistaken, this bottle of water was 200 pesos.
What?
Yeah. So it's like less than $1.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
So you get 3,800 pesos per dollar. So that bottle of water ended up being less than like 10 cents.
Correct.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So going to Colombia, you could like live with our incomes here in the United States. You can live like a king.
Correct. That's our retirement plan. And I know Steve's watching out in the living room. So that's our retirement plan is I'm going to work for the next 6 months and we're going to come live here for a year.
Perfect. And Johnny Dean is in the background watching. And Johnny Dean, we're going to have a house in Colombia.
So yeah,
We'll have to have a Trucking Life Airbnb that we rent out down there. That's what we need to do.
yeah, I like that idea. Yeah,
I do too.
this,
Retirement plans.
yep, retirement plans. This Airbnb is owned by a Colombian citizen who actually lives in Mexico, and his business partner who is from France. And this house is styled to be old Colombia. And so they're actually, this area, they're not allowed to change the facade. They have to keep it in repair. They have to keep it the same as what it was when it was originally built.
It is so gorgeous.
Yeah,
she took me on a little walk, you guys, right before we went live, and it is so pretty.
Yeah, it is. It's so good. I'm afraid of the signal giving out on us, but I can definitely try. But
just show them the highlights and we'll see if we can make it happen.
Exactly. There you go. Okay, so we'll go out to the front so you guys can see the front of the house first. And it's, like I said, they're not allowed to change the facade. They have to leave it original, but they have to keep it in repair. So they have kept it, you know, very close to what it was when it was built.
How pretty.
Yeah. And the house is huge. The house is actually a 5-bedroom, 3-bath. But floors are all original.
I love that hallway.
Yeah.
Show them the rafters.
Yeah.
Oh, how pretty.
Yeah. So the house is open front to back. Everything on the right is bedroom, and everything on the left is kitchen, living room, that kind of stuff.
Oh, how pretty.
And everything's open. The breeze, you know, flows through the entire house and just keeps everything nice. I can hear you.
Nice little hammock.
Yeah. Here's the backyard.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Here's the backyard. And it's wonderful out here. I mean, they have fruit producing. This is a mango tree. There's a banana tree in the back over there. And yeah.
Oh,
my
how
hammock.
fun.
If I ever disappear, this is where you'll find me, right here.
Right? Oh my gosh, that's gorgeous. I love that. That's so pretty.
Yep. So I wish you were here. Us girls would have a heck of a time.
I'm telling you, goals for the future. Goals for the future.
Amen. Goals for the future. So in the ultimate object of keeping the Wi-Fi signal, I'm in the bedroom.
Perfect.
So.
Perfect. Well, you kept signal pretty good, so I think we're all right.
Too bad.
Good. Well, guys, so, you know, we wanted to catch up with Ange and, you know, get caught up on her wonderful vacation over in Colombia. But we also want to talk today, today's more of a laid back day. We're going to go over some memorable stories that we've all experienced in, you know, this trucking life. And we're just going to share a couple of those today. Before we go into that, I do want to do a slight update. We will post links on our Trucking Life page so that everybody can see all the live action happening with the actual convoy. We don't want to have that completely overshadowed by what's happening in the world, because it is still happening and there is stuff going on. So we're going to post those links so you guys can go and actually see for yourself the live action, what's happening. They are just outside of Washington, D.C. right now. They met up yesterday and today. All the others that are coming in today. The National Guard is on standby. The Department of Homeland Security is on standby. I don't know. Interesting situation. I'm not a big fan of how the news is portraying the convoy. They're trying to, pull the same situation that Canada did and label the truckers as domestic terrorists. And so they're going to be dealing with that situation. But anyway, we will definitely post those live updates. So if you're interested in those live updates, you can follow that on Trucking Life and we'll get those up there for you after the show. but also I want to kind of talk about what's happening over in Ukraine and how it could possibly affect truck drivers in the United States. Fuel has gone up. I don't know the exact number, just in the last 48 hours. So I've got a quote, or not quotes, but I want to share. And this is as of yesterday, but we're seeing it change. I've seen it change on the apps, like in the Flying J pilot apps. It's changing a little bit just since yesterday. So just the current price of diesel in the United States, the national average is saying $4 a gallon for fuel, not for regular fuel, not diesel. But the lowest in the United States for diesel right now is in Oklahoma at $4.06. But the highest is obviously California, sitting in at $5.59.
Yeah. Wow.
So I don't know about you, Ange, but you know, as truck drivers, especially owner operators and companies are going to have to make some decisions. At what point is it are you not making any money?
Yeah.
At what point, when the fuel goes up, at what point, what's that number for each? And it'll be different for companies versus owner operators, smaller companies. It'll vary. What my concern, I guess, is how high is it going to go?
Yeah. Yeah. What? Yeah.
There are some analysts saying $8 to $10 per gallon for diesel is what could happen, depending on supply and demand. And you know, it's as a resident of Texas right now, I personally am frustrated just because we have like 7 oil rigs sitting out in the Gulf, not running.
Yeah.
You know, because of what's happened with this specific administration. And you know, we could go into the Keystone Pipeline. You could go into all these things and the reasons why we are not self-sufficient here in the United States on our oil production. And so it's just an intense situation. But the average mile per gallon for a diesel truck is 6.5 miles per gallon. Obviously, that's the national average for every type of truck. Yes. But obviously, that's dependent upon terrain. It's dependent upon your load. It's dependent upon your specific truck. Our old Peterbilt, he was pushing 4. Yeah. So, you know, it was worn out. So, and there are those trucks out on the road. You know what I mean? The Volvo is averaging between 6.5 and 7.2. So, you know, it just kind of depends on the truck. But there are going to be decisions that are made. I mean, if we are in March, and we all know that fuel prices go up before summer anyway, you know what I mean? I mean, that's because of supply and demand. Okay. Yeah, that's normal when you don't have world tensions affecting the supply. So at what point, and I think that's a decision a lot of business owners are going to face, whether you're a small company or a large company, is the logistics of the cost of fuel and the current freight rates. Because what's happening right now is that gap is closing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. And, you know, as an owner operator, you know, I have to make that decision when a load comes up that's 500 miles away. Am I going to deadhead to go get it? I don't know those deadhead miles. And so that's going to be a decision that I'm going to have to make. And, you know, I have a radius in my mind of 300 miles is how far I'll go for a load before I want to get paid for it. And if that customer is not willing to pay, well, then they're going to have to find somebody else who's closer. You know, it shouldn't cost me more than I'm making to go get your load.
Well, and that's the thing too, is, you know, so when as owner operators, we calculate our deadhead in with the actual miles for the trip itself. And, you know, the freight rates are kind of holding steady. They're not climbing to compensate for the cost of fuel rising. And, you know, so if we say that national average is 6.5 miles per gallon per semi. So how does that affect your income when fuel hits $6.50 per gallon for diesel?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I was thinking about that, somebody that I've been talking to, that I've seen a couple different places, is that there are reports, analyzing, saying, fuel could hit $8 and $10, diesel could hit $8 and $10 per gallon before this is over.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, I don't know about you, but you can't make money. At that point, you're working to pay your fuel.
Exactly. And, some people, I've talked about it before. I drive Uber once in a while.
I do too.
Yeah. When I'm home and I've been home for a while and I'm twiddling my thumbs and I got to do something, I'll go do Uber. And I am on an Uber and Lyft driver page on Facebook. And let me tell you, the complaints have increased in just the last week and a half. Everything is, $6 for a 59-mile run and fuel's $7 a gallon. And they'll post pictures from like downtown Los Angeles was like $6.75 a gallon yesterday in one area. And that's the thing. That's the complaint. It doesn't just affect the trucking industry. It affects anyone who is dependent on any kind of fuel,
any kind of transportation.
Yeah. So it's, right now, some of us drivers, we use Uber to go get groceries. We use Uber Eats to have our food delivered to us. We use DoorDash. You know what? Those charges are going to start going up.
So on that note, so yesterday I Ubered all day. I do that. And while I was home, and I don't know if I was one of the only Ubers in freaking Longview. I'm not really sure, but from the time I pushed, ready to roll, it was nonstop. As soon as I had somebody in my car, I had another one asking for a backup, and I'm not going to lie. I picked up 2 different truck drivers that were just running around. Okay. Yeah. And every single person I picked up yesterday was telling me that they had a hard time finding a ride. Okay. And that the prices went up.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's going to affect, it's going to trickle down. Of course, we all know that. In the end, it'll trickle down and touch everybody in the world. But people who have anything to do with transportation is going to hit first. And for a driver who uses Uber for some part of their daily life, it's going to hit them twice.
Well, the one guy that I picked up, him and his wife, are team truck drivers, and they, had they were on their 34, and they sorry, I got a hair. I'm like, but they were running around and, doing things on their 34, and they had a hard time getting Uber rides.
Yeah.
It just was crazy. But even, if you're not talking about something simple like that, what my concern is we saw so many businesses, small mom and pop owner operated businesses, and there it is, go out of business from the pandemic. It took them out of business. I see the way that things are happening right now, and it breaks my heart, is I see it happening again. It's going to affect those who rely on the diesel fuel or the fuel supply and demand situation for their business. Like small trucking companies, you hit $8 and $10 a gallon for fuel, they're not going to be able to run.
Oh yeah, forget it.
That ain't going to happen. And I'll tell you right now, Johnny and I, we'll come home and park the truck. I mean, there's no reason to spend your time when you either going in the hole or you're not making any money.
No, correct. Yeah. And at this point, that I feel the same way. If it gets to that point, I can make more money doing Uber.
That's what I was just gonna say. I told Johnny yesterday, and that's bad because it will affect everything and everybody. If the truckers can't run, you know what I mean? If we're going in the hole, if we get paid, I was running the numbers before we came live, but I didn't get it all finished. But if we get paid, a certain amount of money to run a trip that week, and we're paying 3/4 of the profit into fuel,
why do it? Why run
Why
that?
do it? Why do it? I mean, it just makes zero sense whatsoever. Yeah. It's going to have a huge triple effect potentially. And I need to wrap my head around, I guess, analyzing that possibility.
We've been through it before. You know, I
Yeah,
remember
for sure.
diesel. I can remember diesel in Oklahoma City at 85 cents a gallon.
Crazy. Oh, did we just lose her? I think we might have just lost her. Oh, she's trying to come back on. Well, while she comes back on, guys, Jed, let's go ahead and run our first commercial, and then we'll come right back, you guys. Trucking Life is proud to introduce you to Margaret DeBalot, aka That Truckin' Chick, and aka Miss D, the Job Coach. Margaret is a published author and the proud creator of the Margaret in the Morning Show and the Empowerment Summit Tampa Bay. Be sure to follow all Margaret's adventures here on Trucking Life as she drives her passion to hashtag change the world. All right, guys, there she is.
There I am.
Yeah, and you were saying that, you know, we've been through this before, and we have. This isn't nothing new. It's, you know, it happens. You know, you go through bear markets, you go through all the things, you know. So this is not the first time we've been through this type of turmoil or struggles as a world and as a nation. Not the first time. So it'll be interesting to see how it all kind of trickles down, the ripple effects. And we'll just, you know, plan and, you know, do the best that we can as individuals and as an industry.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So just, I wanted to, you know, so on those fuel prices, I'm just going to kind of give everybody an update. I said that Oklahoma was currently at the lowest, but there are only 2 states, Oklahoma and Missouri, right at $4 a gallon. Everybody else is, they're over $4.39, but the majority are up in the 4.69.
Wow.
That's the majority of the states. So Johnny is currently in Alabama. He's just outside of Birmingham. Yeah, and he's I want to say at 468 is what he told me last night. So
wow.
Yeah. So that's just the current situation there, but we will have more updates relating to the trucking industry as they become available about how things are being affected by what is happening in the world. We'll put some more updates on our website as they become available. But Jed, did we ever get Ed in? Is Ed available? If he is, we'll see if he's got some stories to tell us. If not, Ange and I can definitely tell our stories first. I don't know if he's available. Oh, there he is.
Hey, Ed.
All right. Hi there. No, I haven't been able to watch like the last like few minutes here because the audio just went haywire. I want to try something different here. If y'all can bear with me, I need to try and
You bet.
fix. Right now, I've got the audio going through my AirPods and I've got my microphone going through my iPhone. Do you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
We can hear you great. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Yeah, because otherwise, you know, if I try to do everything through my iPhone speakers, I can't hear anything.
Right.
That's been my problem the last few weeks. All right, great. So that works. So I have no idea what y'all were talking about before y'all brought me on. So y'all gonna have to catch me up. I'm so sorry about this.
No, you know, and Ange and I haven't had a chance to really tell our most memorable stories. So we'll just kind of leave you on here and we'll all three take a turn. Ange, do you want to go first and maybe tell one of your memorable stories?
Oh my gosh. Where do you want me to start at?
We've all got so many that I tell you, this is a show for all time.
That's the thing. Good, bad, and ugly, of course, you know, because but let's go with one that happened recently. Last summer, I was at a customer, and of course, you know, I'm a flatbed drop deck, so I unload and load pretty easily. But I was watching a guy attempt for a long time to back into a dock. And
oh my gosh.
he would try and mess it up and he'd get mad and circle around the parking lot and come back and try again. And I watched this for about an hour while I got loaded and while I tarped and strapped my load. And when I got done, I kind of walked over to him and he was sitting in the driver's seat and I said, would you like me to help you? Would you like me to help guide you into the dock? He gets out of the truck and he says, no, you do it.
Oh my gosh.
I quit. You do it.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, no, I'll help you. He said, no, you do it. I said, okay, look, I'm going to back it in for you. Okay. I pulled up, straightened out, backed right in. How did you do that? I talked to him for a few minutes and he'd only been driving for 6 months. And he was unsure of himself, which is the first problem. And you've got to have confidence in yourself. You've got to know, I can do this. And it doesn't matter how long it takes me to do this, but I can do this and I will do this. And that's, I said, just keep trying, keep trying. These docks weren't perfect setup, of course, they were at an angle and it was something that if you've never done it, you were going to have a hard time. But I watched him for over an hour.
Oh, poor guy.
Doing my job, I was, watching him, and I just said, this is too painful. I got to help him.
Right. Let me help you.
Yeah, exactly. So how about you, Ed? What do you got? What kind of memorable stories do you got?
All right, so most of my memorable stories come from when I was a CDL instructor. So that's whenever I'm out on the road, it's boring. Nothing exciting ever happens to me. But when I was a CDL instructor, it was Murphy's Law day in and day out. Whatever could go wrong did go wrong, and it went wrong quite often.
Oh no!
But the one that kind of like sticks out, like the one that popped in my mind listening to Angela was one day it's me and my group of students. It would be me and four other students in the truck at any time. And we pulled through this Quick Trip truck stop, the brand new one they just built in Marshfield, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And so we're pulling through the fuel island. We're going to swap out. And there's a guy in the lane next to us. He's trying to get something going on with his scale. He'd been cat scaling, going to the cat scale and back around, quite a few times. And so he's parked in the fuel island. He's running inside to get his ticket. None of us really thought anything about it. And then suddenly the truck just starts rolling backwards. He's inside the store. The truck starts rolling backwards, and it's going perfectly straight, perfectly backwards. And normally there would be nothing behind him, except today Quick Trip was getting their fuel delivery. And there was a fully loaded fuel tanker right behind him.
No.
Oh no. And
the problem is that by the time we realize what's all about to happen, it's too late. Like no one can, none of us are Usain Bolt. We're all, truck drivers. We're not going to be able to catch that truck. And so I'm screaming at the fuel driver, get out, because I've watched enough Hollywood movies. I know what's about to happen. And the thing that prevailed, that saved the day was that the truck jackknifed before it hit the fuel tanker.
Oh my gosh.
And the guy in the Quick Trip truck, he never fucking looked up from his newspaper. He's sitting there with his freaking newspaper, and he just looks and he's like, "Oh, that's interesting."
Oh gosh.
And then the guy that was running the truck, he comes running out, out of the store. And of course he didn't speak enough English for him to articulate exactly what he wanted to say to me, but for whatever reason he blamed me for the whole thing. Why didn't you stop my truck? And I'm like, why didn't you set your brakes?
Yeah.
What?
So, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he was mad at me for the whole thing. So yeah.
Oh
yeah,
my
no,
gosh.
that was a pretty memorable day. That was that would have been a huge ecological disaster for the town of Marshfield, Wisconsin. That's for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, that is insane. That's crazy. Does that spark any memories for you, Ange, of a story?
Well, not one like that. Like I said, good, bad, and ugly. We've all been there. I've had a couple of accident scenes that I was the first there, and not all of them turned out good. So, and that's always hard. But in a way, truck drivers are first on the scene for some of those things. And
Yes.
and my medical background, it kicked in, and and I did exactly what I needed to do to try to help the people that were involved. And like I said, not all of them have turned out great. And that part is hard. But as truck drivers, we get to see the worst of things, It's not always easy, but that's why I do thank God that I have retained a lot of my medical background, and when I need it, it kicks in, and it's there to try to help. And hopefully some of them have turned out better than others, and and those are the good ones. Everybody's okay, and then we'll get into a fight over whose fault it was, but
Right.
So
And I think that's, part of describing our life out on the road is, when you think about the days when we were at home working a normal 9 to 5, and living in our little bubble, right? You only travel, on a daily, weekly basis within like a 30-mile range or whatever. And you have your same, lanes of travel, places that you go to the grocery store, blah, 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 all that. And so what I think of it is like bubbles, like everybody's got their own little bubbles, you know what I mean, that they live in, right? Well, as truckers, we interact and interject with all those bubbles on a daily basis, multiple bubbles on a daily basis. And so that's when we see all those crazy things on a more frequent basis than like the average individual would see in their daily life. There are people who may never go, who throughout their lifetime may never see an accident or come upon an accident. Whereas truck drivers, that, is such a more probable reality in our daily lives. Just because of how many miles. I mean, we average between 550 and 700 miles per day, in travel. And so it just depends on the day or whatever, but that's a lot. I mean, that's, across almost the entire state of Texas. You can't do it in one day. Almost. Or it's 3 or 4 states up in the Northeast,
Yeah. Exactly. There's, one of the most memorable, accidents that I can say that I came upon was a 20 years ago. It was so long ago. And it was a Swift truck. And, we won't know Swift memes in the comments. Okay, guys. But
have you ever looked up their safety record?
Exactly.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah. It's actually surprising.
I was going to say, they get a bad rap because they have, but like it's always a Swift truck, but they have so many trucks.
Correct. It's just
the percentage
it's confirmation
is
bias. Yeah.
Right.
That was the point I was going to make. Yeah. But anyway, go ahead, Angela. I'm sorry to cut you off.
But if anybody's familiar with Highway 85 in Arizona, in between 10 and 8, and just almost coming into Gila Bend, and he had laid it over into the ditch, and he was stuck, but he was okay. He just couldn't get out. And I pulled over, and a couple other cars had pulled over, and in the middle of the night, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and the only way to get a hold of Swift, nobody had cell service at that. This is 20 years ago. Out in that stretch, we didn't have cell service, and the only way to get a hold of Swift was to send a message to the shop, because it was the only 24-hour manned Qualcomm station at Swift. everybody went home. And so the only thing that was the shop, so we sent a message to the shop, Gate told him where he was, and it took probably 45 minutes to an hour to get to ambulance out there. But 6 months later, the guy called me and offered me a job.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because, I had stopped to help him. I stayed with him, and, just our conversation, trying to make sure that he stayed awake. And, I was doing my medical part.
Right.
But he was like, I would love to have somebody like you driving one of my trucks, and I did not get the job. I was already an owner operator by then. So I wasn't going back to being a driver. But yeah, that was pretty cool. 6 months later, he called and offered me a job.
That's an awesome story. Yeah. What about you, Ed? What other stories and training and being in that crazy position? I have to give you hats off. I'm just going to tell you, there is no way I would have the patience to be a trainer. No.
I've actually creeped people out because it would be week one. It was a 4-week program that we did, and it would be Friday of week one. We'd be hitting the public road, and making laps around the terminal that we built that we worked at, and after a while, you've seen everybody do everything, and so nothing really surprises you anymore. Guy loses a gear, doesn't matter. Guy loses the ability to steer the truck, doesn't matter. Guy forgets everything that he learned inside the yard. As soon as he hits that public road, doesn't matter. All he has to do is listen to my voice. I will get you around the block and we will get back home. It's okay. Right. And the thing is that I would never raise my voice. I would never, my heart rate would stay steady the entire time through, and everyone would be like, "How are you so calm?
Well, and
why are you not screaming at me?"
That's what makes you a good instructor, is that you have that ability to maintain that, because you maintaining that lower heart rate, that lower voice, helps calm them down in the middle of chaos and uncertainty. Yep. So I think that's what makes you an excellent trainer, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
But the one that pops into my mind, so it's a slightly longer story because I have to set it up for context. So it was a 4-week program. It was me and another instructor would partner up. So we each had 4 students. And but in the 3rd week of the program, we would swap our students, and we would do what we call the pre-CDL test, like a mock style CDL test, where we had the same forms, everything. Don't ask me how we got those forms. We obtained them legally, but yeah, we had all the same forms that a CDL instructor would do, and we would take them out and see what they did, good, bad, and different. Would they have passed a CDL test? And now the guy that I had first off in the morning, I'd worked with him once before, and I knew that he was a decent driver, decent student, decent guy. I wasn't expecting any problems with him. He might do something stupid like shift over a railroad track, one of those automatic fails. It's really not a big deal. But so we leave out of the yard. First right turn's fine. First left turn's fine. All right, I'm not really expecting anything. Every single turn after that, I had to actively coach him to stop him from having an accident. The next right turn was involved the railroad tracks where there was like a gate and all that. He almost took out the gate. He made a left turn. Now I will give him credit. The next left turn after that was a little tight, but he almost completely dragged we use flatbed trailers. He almost completely dragged his flatbed trailer over the top of a Durango. It was really bad. And after that, I just put my clipboard on the ground. I'm like, all right, I'm not even gonna I'm stopping the test. We're just gonna get you back to the terminal, and then we'll discuss. And so I get him back, and I pop the brakes and I look over at him, and I'm like, dude, what the hell? And he tells me, yeah, I probably should have told you before we left the gate. I lost a contact lens this morning. So I can only see out of one eye right now, and I figured it wouldn't be so bad because I didn't really have much trouble driving my car. His car was a hatchback Chevy Sonic.
Why the hell?
I said, dude, get the F out of my truck.
Why the hell? Oh, I got nothing. I got nothing.
Get out of my truck.
I got it.
I've never been so close to strangling a person.
Oh my hell! I got nothing.
No, I know.
Yeah.
The question is why.
Right.
Right.
Margaret said it.
Yeah.
Margaret
Like,
nailed
dude, at
it.
any point you could have told me, you could have told me, hell, you could have just not even showed up to school in the morning. Tell one of your classmates, hey, I'm gonna stay behind today because I need to find my contact lenses. I'll just be a little late. Cool, no problem. We'll change up the test order. It doesn't matter.
What the hell? Okay, that just goes back to common sense is not common.
Correct.
I don't know
Right.
why we call it that. I really don't.
I don't think we should call it common sense anymore.
We got to come up with a new term.
Right.
That's hilarious. Well, yeah. This show, I'm going to tell you right now, guys, we will come back to having shows where we tell stories about life on the road because they're nonstop. We can write books and books and books on the experiences we have out here on the road. But for now, we're going to, keep it short and sweet. We're going to bring on our next guest after the next commercial. But Ed, thank you very much for sharing a couple stories this morning. And
No problem.
just, write down notes about the ones you want to share in the future because this is going to be a nonstop. I can tell you that right now.
I've got a lot of them.
And if they're like that one, I can't wait to hear them. I just am racking my brain like, what the hell?
Yeah.
We've had some crazy stuff happen. Everyone say bye to Trip and say bye to Trip.
Bye,
Bye.
Trip. Yes, and Margaret says that's one for my What the Truck show. Exactly. I love it.
All right. Y'all have a good rest of your show. Thanks for bringing me on.
Thanks for joining us. And so we're going to take a quick commercial break, you guys. And when we come back, Johnny Dean is coming on with us. Oh, no.
Okay.
Trucking Life is proud to introduce Ed Plow. Ed streams under the handle Big Rig Ed on various sites such as YouTube and Facebook. Be sure to go check him out for a very professional and always well-researched, informative view. He also shares that view along with Melissa Rickman, aka Mother Trucker, on Trucking Life's Debate Life, where these two professional drivers are teaming up to discuss trucking industry topics. Ed's professionalism comes from having operated and taught classes on many different types of equipment. Ed is a certified master instructor and certified master heavy truck driver. He also has been an over-the-road trainer and CDL instructor, and many he taught are award-winning drivers still on the road today. Don't forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe Big Rig Ed on YouTube, Facebook, and of course, Trucking Life, where Ed drives his truck Solly with his co-pilot Trip and shows the world how it all gets moved from here to there.
That was Ed's new commercial. What do you think, Ange?
I love it. I was just gonna say we've been working commercials while I've been gone. Hi.
Yes, and he loves jazz, and so it was kind of a cool, spin on it that Jed did for him. So I thought it was pretty fun.
That is so good. That is wonderful. Good job, Jed.
Yeah. Woo! Good morning, my love.
Who are you talking to? You're talking to
sexy
me?
beast. Yes.
I don't know if it's morning time. Well, it's, I don't know if you can see the, lazy doggies back there, I don't know where Brutus, there's Brutus, Yeah, that's how my morning's going, folks,
That you're all still just barely rolling out of bed?
Yeah, pretty much,
Well, good. You're on a 34, so that's what it's supposed to be, babe.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
so
I
what's
hear
the
you guys
price
are
of fuel,
talking
baby?
about some of your memorable stories. I'm like Ange. I got so many of them that I don't even know if I can remember back that many years. I
Well,
do remember one story. it's a bad story. It sticks out in my head. It always will. I was in California coming up Mountain Pass, and I watched a pickup trailer pass me and Jesse, a good buddy of mine, and the guy lost control of his pickup and his trailer, and they hit the ditch, flipped. I mean, it was nasty. Well, we were out there. We stopped and we were looking for everybody, and the mom was screaming, trying to find her boy. And yeah, I found the boy face down in the dirt with no face left. And when I went to hand him to his mom, he took his last breath in my arms.
Yeah.
And that's those stories, that are heart-wrenching and heartbreaking. And
yeah,
we were just talking about, as truck drivers, the probability of us coming upon those accidents is so much higher than just the average individual. And it's so hard because people don't realize how a situation like that affects us internally and emotionally. He still gets emotional.
That's been 20 plus years, and it's still right there.
Exactly. Yeah. And I had one, a family with mom, dad, and 3 kids, and right just barely into Arizona, coming out of California on the I-10, and they flipped it. Dad fell asleep and upside down, and ambulance wasn't there yet. We saw the dirt flying. Didn't see the car flipping, but we saw the dirt flying, and so stopped and got out, ran. I ended up in a tank top because I took my shirt off to stop the bleeding on one of the kids, and was just in my tank top, and moved over to the next one and did CPR on the middle girl and held her, but I found out later that she did not make it. She was transported to the hospital, and by the time mom and dad got there, they were just waiting for mom and dad to get there. And I didn't find that out. I think 3 or 4 days later, I went through Arizona Highway Patrol to get in contact with the family, and they called me and told me that the middle girl had not made it. So, I held her and tried to do CPR while I'm holding another one to get the bleeding to stop, while dad's comforting mom and holding the baby. And it was just a horrible scene. And I still remember, that was probably 24 years ago. That was, I hadn't been driving very long when that would happen. And that is the most vivid in everything that I've ever seen, done, or saw in my trucking career. That is the one that's most vivid. I can remember every minute.
I have that same problem. That's why I used to run heavy recovery, and we weren't only certified on heavy recovery and CPR, but we were certified first responders.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we'd be on the accident before anybody got there, and I quit doing that because I couldn't handle what I was seeing. I mean, I've seen things that most people wouldn't see unless they were over war or something like that. I watched I pulled a Corvette, out from underneath the trailer, and the guy was cut in half, and his cell phone was still in his hand with the last text he was sending. That's why I'm really against texting and driving. But memorable moments, fun moments, we have a lot of those too. And I have a couple of those. One of them, I was in the Petrol there in Vegas, just outside of Vegas. And in the middle of the night, I decided to walk into the main building. Well, one of Jeff Gordon's race trucks had pulled into the gas side to the RV dump. Well, when he went to go over the hump there, it broke off one of the bleeder valves to the air tank on his trailer. So it sheared it off flush, so they lost all their air. They couldn't build any. So I asked them what was going on, and they told me, and I told them, I said, well, give me a minute, I can fix that for you. So I ran back over to my truck, grabbed my toolbox, run back over, crawled underneath their trailer, pulled out the old one, managed to get the old one out, put a plug in there, plugged it up, and they told me they would send a van over to pick me up, a white van to come pick me up. I'm thinking, yeah, okay. So they asked where I was, and I told them, well, I was back sitting in my truck, and sure shit, white van pulls up in front of my truck and honks, say, hey, we're here to pick you up, take you over to the racetrack. I'm like,
Nice.
wait, what? Are you serious? You're serious? He was like, yeah. So I went over to the racetrack. I got to do that. I got to go into their trailer that had all the memorabilia. I got to pick out as many shirts, as many hats, whatever I want. I got to pick it out. Yeah. I walked away with I don't know how much memorabilia I walked away with. I was just like, yeah, I'll take that and that and that and want that and want that. So it was really unique. I've talked to doing truck shows. I've met a lot of different people, a lot
Yeah.
of walks of life. And that is some really memorable things there. A lot of things that
Right.
just come to mind. Another one was me and the wife. We're headed across 40, and we were in between. We were just outside of Albuquerque, and I looked up in the sky because I kept seeing this light that was coming at me, and I'm watching this and watching this and watching this. So I asked the wife if she saw it. She says, "Yeah, she sees it." Well, then I asked her again. I said, "It looks like it stopped."
And it was way late at night. Let's
Yes,
preface that.
yes.
It was really late.
Now, I heard people on the CB commenting about this. And I told her, I says, do you hear this? And she was like, yeah. Well, we started watching this light. Well, all of a sudden it just stops. And it's like sitting in one position. Well, the next thing we know, I mean, it moved faster than you could blink your eyes. It was in a different position.
Mm-hmm.
And we're looking at this. All of a sudden, the CB starts to light up. People are starting to talk. Hey, did you see this? What the hell? Cars are stopping on the sides of the road. People are out looking in the sky. Well, the next thing we know, we see this huge light blue circle go around this white orb. And all of a sudden, it just disappeared. Nowhere to be found. Nowhere. Well, when that happened, the CB went staticky. Just you couldn't get rid of the static. I had the squelch turned all the way up, still couldn't get rid of the static. I don't know if the wife remembers, but the lights in the truck, gauges, everything started kind of going weird for a second there.
Out for a short amount of time.
There were so many people parked on the sides of the road with their cameras and their video and their phones out, just videoing this stuff. Next thing I know, the CB just lights up. Drivers for miles are screaming, did you see that? Did you see that? The next day in the newspaper and in the news, we heard about people seeing some kind of light in the sky that moved around, and it was in New Mexico. They saw it in Arizona. They saw it in Colorado, and then it just disappeared in the middle of nowhere. In the middle of nowhere.
And
how do you explain that?
Yeah, it was like 5 years ago, you guys.
Yeah, you can't
and it was the
explain
craziest thing. There was no we were looking all over the internet, like trying to find a scientific explanation. If it was like SpaceX or, something launched or they were doing maneuvers or, something. We found zero evidence of what we actually saw. Like we couldn't put a description on what had just happened. There was no description to put. We didn't know.
I think the coolest thing that I have probably seen is coming through headed into Vegas on 15 there, and I happened to be cruising along, and I looked in my mirror and I saw something coming, off in the desert. And this is when everybody was talking about the stealth bomber.
Yeah.
And I looked in my mirror and I saw something, but I was like, okay, whatever. I looked out again because I was coming up on Vegas. And as I looked out, low to the ground, there was a stealth bomber coming by me. And I could see everything about that plane. I mean, he was that close, that low to the ground. And to see that for the first time, when it's just barely coming out, that is something that is, you just don't get to see things like that.
Yeah.
We see so many things out here that it's just
Yeah.
amazing. We could go on for
It'll go
days
on
with
forever.
fun stories, sad stories, stories that make you think and make you think you're crazy, yeah.
Well, and the purpose of really telling these stories too is to kind of further that education of the public and the average person of what truckers experience in their day-to-day, and in their life, and that we are human. We do have all these crazy fun, sometimes not so fun interactions. I do have a couple stories I want to tell too. Johnny and I have experienced together. So it was three or 4 years ago, Johnny, I don't remember, when we
not the stories
decided.
about the sleeper, right? Oh, you're telling. Oh, okay. You said funny stories. Okay.
Yeah, those are for Sunday brunch after dark.
After hours. No, there was like 3 or 4 years ago, Johnny and I decided not to come home for Christmas. We were going to work through Christmas. They really needed us to work a load, and we agreed to go ahead and go stay out. And we ended
how
up
that goes,
being,
Ange. Can you work through Christmas, please?
that's exactly how that went. Is, come on, we really need this to be there. So we ended up being in Hotlanta at the Petro for Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and the day after, before we could unload at the airport. And so when you're there for 2 or 3 days, especially over a holiday, you kind of get to know the others who are in that same predicament, in that same situation. So it started out, I think, the first night that we were there, because we were there the night before Christmas Eve. And so we went in and had dinner, and we kind of, Johnny and I are social butterflies when we're out there anyway. We get to know everybody that's in the restaurant at the time. And this was before the pandemic, and we were all normal and eating together and, not afraid to, sit together and all the things. And we got to know a bunch of people that first night. Well, then the next morning, half that crew all drug in for breakfast together for Christmas Eve. And then we all made a plan, and we were there for Christmas Eve dinner that night. And, so it became like this group, this family group. Well, Christmas Day, we went in for Christmas Day brunch, and we spent hours in the Petro, and we asked the people in the back, the staff.
We didn't leave Christmas brunch from the afternoon until midnight,
late,
like midnight, 1 o'clock that night.
Right.
So, you know.
So what we asked is if we could put tables together in the very back so that we didn't interrupt their restaurant, but that we could play some games, right? So Jed's got a picture. If he can show this picture, you guys, we played spoons. Okay. And these are some of the people that we met. And let me just tell you, you can go ahead and drop that picture. That just kind of gives people an idea.
Was just part of the people. There was more people than that.
There was more than that. That was just one photo. But you guys, okay, so Anne, have you played spoons before? I'm just checking.
No, I haven't.
Oh my God.
It can be deadly. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. You guys see I have fingernails, okay?
Yeah.
So the object of the game, for anybody who does not know, okay, is if you have 13 people around a table, you have 12 spoons, okay? And you have cards. And you start out with so many cards in your hand, and you're passing cards grabbing them from the right, passing them to the left. And what you're trying to do is get 4 of the same card in hand. And as soon as you make that match, you silently, quickly, stealthily grab a spoon. Okay. The first person to make the match is the one who, tries to grab the spoon first. Once everybody sees that someone has made a match, everybody mad dashes for the spoons. Because whoever doesn't have a spoon, they're eliminated. And then you take one more spoon off the table, and you do this until you get down to 2 people. You know what I mean? That session, we had patrons that were in the restaurant. We had the managers, we had the wait staff coming to watch. Okay.
And take pictures and video on their phones. Yeah.
Taking video because with my nails, their blood was getting drawn because and a nipple got pinched between the tables that were squished together. I mean, it was crazy.
I think we had a broken finger in there.
Yeah, we had
people bleeding.
People were launching over the table because once there's a mad dash for the spoons, if somebody's got it in their hand, that's not going to stop someone else from trying to rip it out of their hand.
Yeah.
It was the craziest thing ever, but it was so fun. It was
we had
so
customers. There was customers that would get ready to leave, and they would come in the back just to watch and see what was going on. We had an audience. We had people sitting down just to watch us. Yeah, it was crazy.
Intense.
It's crazy.
And it was so fun though, because we're still friends with those people on Facebook. Like, it's amazing. So you have those opportunities, where you connect with people, and it was a fun experience. But what's even funnier is, so the night before Christmas, right, Christmas Eve, Johnny was all worried because we'd been out on the road, we had left home, and we hadn't, bought anything for each other. And so he was like, we need to go to Walgreens, we need to do something, to kind of, just celebrate Christmas. Yeah. And so one of the people that we met there is one of our really good friends, Trenton. He took us to Walgreens. Well, his car had an issue. He lost
the radiator cap. So we're blowing radiator fluid all over the place. So we stopped at Walgreens. I told him,
like 9-10 o'clock at night on Christmas Eve.
So we go to Walgreens and we go buy some radiator fluid. We turn the car off, and we fill it back up. Well, I find this plastic lid. Okay.
Well, let me say this: while I'm shopping for Christmas, okay, he's manufacturing a radiator cap.
Oh, I did.
So we can get back to the pedal.
I manufactured a radiator cap out of a plastic cap and screwed it on, tightened it up, started the car up. The pressure went, or the temperature went down, and it ran all the way back to the Petro. And by the time we got back to the Petro, the cap started to, get hot and lose its seal. And when we parked, the cap come off. I was in the parking lot with my pocket knife manufacturing this plastic cap, and Trent's like, "You sure this can work? It's gonna work. It's gonna work. Trust me, this is gonna work. This is gonna work." So now Trenton calls me the real redneck because I had a radiator cap made out of a plastic cap.
Was there duct tape involved? I can't remember.
Yeah.
You can't get any more redneck than that. I'm sorry.
Redneck engineering.
It was crazy. And another experience that we had in Atlanta too, it was a different time. We were there for a couple days, and we were with some really, really good friends, and we had a barbecue on the back of our flatbed.
Yeah.
You got those pictures?
That's when we both had our big bunks there. Yeah, we were both in our big bunks. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's our big bunk.
So we were side by side, and we just had a blast, you guys. It was so much fun.
2 days we barbecued and drank beer in the parking lot.
There you go. And that's the next time that we do this, stories from the road. I've got a few. We'll have to bring Steve in on that one, because there's a lot of stories from the customs parking lot in Miami. So yes. Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
She's like, oh yeah.
You know what we're going to have to do too, and we're probably going to, we're going to have like an after hours, adults only, not on Sunday, show to talk about the ones that you can't talk on a Sunday morning.
We just need, me and you need to get down there when her and Steve are home. We just need to go down and visit them for a few days, maybe a week or so, a few days just isn't going to cut it, because we need to go to visit them, and we need to post some of those stories.
Yeah.
Right? Absolutely. Well, and guys, that's how it is. We are here at Trucking Life just trying to show you what our world looks like, the things that we go through, and how much interaction that we get with each other, with the public, how that works out. Just we're showing you what the life of a trucker looks like sometimes. And so I appreciate both you guys coming on today and hanging out, sharing these memorable stories. We have tons. We all have tons, I can tell you that. But let's go do our final commercial and we'll come back and say some goodbyes and see our comments.
Great.
Trucking Life is looking for live streamers to join our team of showing the world how it gets moved from here to there. truckinglife.live@gmail.com.
So I was just looking through some of our comments, and everybody definitely has something to say. But there's a couple, I can't see all of them. I'm just seeing the ones on the one page. But everybody's saying hi. Everybody's saying hello. They love us, and they're glad to be on here. But we love you all. We're so grateful that you guys came on and hung out with us for this time. And yeah, McNally, he said that he was a nervous wreck just teaching his kids to drive a car. So he can't imagine what Ed goes through teaching people how to drive a semi. I'm like, I got to give it to him. That's for sure. Yeah. Right. Jed, were there any other comments that we missed up there? I'm trying to look and see. Yeah. So Lori said she was looking forward to meeting us. We can't wait to meet her too.
Who?
Lori, Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course I can't wait to see her. That's my Notre Dame chick hookup.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, Ed says we should charge money like a pay-per-view for the After Dark show. I agree with them.
That is no joke. We might have to have people sign a waiver to watch. I don't even know how that would work.
Ed, I don't know, Ed, because I'm not going to be responsible for medication and physical therapy, or mental therapy. Okay, so I don't know about that. That's what the waiver will be for. We are not held responsible for mental problems after watching show.
After experiencing or, hearing what we've experienced, for sure.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, you guys, thanks so much for watching today. Thanks so much for bringing your stories on, Ange and Donnie. Love you both so much. And you know what?
We don't really love you, but okay.
Yeah, why you gotta lie like that? Why you gotta lie like that? All right, guys, thanks again. Everybody have a wonderful Sunday. You're in our thoughts and prayers. We hope that whatever's going on in your life, that you feel the love that we have for you. And we just are grateful that you're here watching and hanging out with us today.
Yeah, I was just going to say real quick, remember, people, us truck drivers, we're humans too. What goes on in the world affects us. We also have hearts and feelings just like the rest of you. With that being said, may the good Lord watch out for all of you on this very beautiful Sunday. Well, mine's kind of a cloudy, rainy Sunday, but on this beautiful Sunday. Hopefully Ange sends us lots of pictures. I don't like her right now because she's on vacation, but, I'll like her when she comes back. Thank you to the women that have started Trucking Life here. It's been a really hard, road to get it going, but you guys have done an awesome job. So, kudos to you, and thank you for everybody watching who is watching and all the comments. So everybody have a blessed day today.
Thank you for watching, everybody, and I miss all of you. I cannot wait to get back and be able to at least run into you somewhere in the country. Oh, and there he is. He finally showed up. There's
right?
Patrick. You know what, Patrick? I even miss you.
Are you sick? What's wrong, Ange? You're not feeling good?
Exactly.
All right, guys.
Did you just say you missed Pat?
I did.
Jed, you're on screen.
Yeah. She's sick. She's sick. Hi, Jed.
Yeah. All right, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Love you guys. Bye.
Love you too.
Love you too.
Bye.